All right, guys, I think this is perfect timing. I just had the video about Harry trashing William, that we could see like the competitiveness is on his end. So let's check out another one of these interviews that, according to Harry, it's like William bullying him.
Well, from my point of view, personally, I adore Africa because it's so different. I like getting away from the cities, from the busyness of London and places like that. I like being anonymous in Africa. I like meeting the new people. I like the wildness of it all. It really brings out the sort of the real sort of spiritual side of Africa, which is, you know, you connecting back to your roots almost. And I like getting away from everything and interacting with the wildlife and the environment, things like that. Particularly is where I go with Tusk. They do lots of translocation, rhino darting, lion darting. So you're actually getting a real hand.
So William, what he says has nothing to do with Harry. He's just talking about being in Africa, what he likes about it. I mean, people might have different opinions on like what he's saying. I know some people from Africa like prefer, you know, not all just be like, oh, Africa's all about rhinos and whatever. But, you know, people are visiting, mostly like to see wildlife. So he's just talking about going there. And then you're going to see Harry's response in a second.
With the wildlife, and you're actually seeing and feeling the sort of the conflict and the problems that the Africans face, albeit there are many of them, but you're focusing on a couple that really matter.
Harry looks so silly. Like you see him like rubbing his ear, looking down. Like, yeah, he looked nervous as well.
Nothing left, is there?
So I couldn't even hear what he said there, but he was like, "Oof, no, enough is it?" It seemed like nervous. Let's just go there.
Matter.
Nothing left, is there? But no, essentially what? Essentially what William says, just the wildness and just being out, being us.
That part was everything right there. I'll play it for you one more time, then we'll analyze it. Everything. There's so much going on there.
Nothing left, is there? But no, essentially what? Essentially what William says, just the.
So what happened there is that was all Harry. It's all this stuff going on in his mind. Like, it's like with Meghan Markle, she's this constant competition in her mind. And I guess Harry had a bit of that as well. So William says all this stuff, and there's been a lot of interviews. Then Harry gets like self-deprecating. I honestly couldn't hear what he said, but you could see the body language where he basically says like, "Oh, you're so great," kind of thing like that. He does it in multiple interviews, and then William like looks at him in like a teasing way but friendly, and then Harry gets uncomfortable. But you look like Harry made all of that himself. He's the one who started the whole like self-deprecation and feeling beneath William, and then feeling that pressure. Like, so it was all in his mind. It's unbelievable. And then he blames it on William. I think it's a guy. There's something funny, you'll see in a second, but a guy who's just insecure, has issues, and is, you know, his brother's better. I've heard of that happening. I only have a sister, but I think, you know, when there's two brothers, sometimes they compete, or they compare themselves, and he really did.
Wildness and just being out, being ourselves, you know, being able to sort of lose everything that's behind and just go off into Africa. I mean, I've got loads of friends in Africa as well, which is always a treat.
So, really bad speaker. Speaking too fast, looking down, not speaking clearly, mumbling, and you could see he's he's pulling on his hand now. He's uncomfortable. He's in the competition. He's flustered.
Once again, Botswana, Lesotho, Zambia, you know, all the countries I've been to, especially recently as well, have just been very close to my heart. My heart's in Africa as well as obviously back home. But if I get a chance to go away, 9 times out of 10.
I mean, I think a big problem with Harry is, you know, I do say he was like lacking in certain talents, but that he compared himself to his brother so much. Now it seems like there was more issues with him that were hidden, but I know, wasn't he one of the most liked royals for a while, where he did have this goofy funniness to him. He could have leaned into that. Like, instead of comparing himself to William, who's a lot more regal and just competent, but if you're genuinely funny and goofy and people like that, maybe could have leaned into that rather than like trying to compete with his brother. I think they call it comparanoia. Too much comparing, and I think that really is what Meghan used to wedge that divide larger and larger.